Jai Shri Ram. This is day 2 of Valmiki Ramayana for Kids by Pranav Shankar. Yesterday we covered what Ramayana is, who Valmiki, its author, is, how Ramayana was begun, Dasharatha's Yagam, the Deva's plea, and the birth of Rama and his brothers. Rama and his brothers grew up as wonderful young princes of the kingdom of Kosala in Ayodhya. Dasharatha loved all his sons, but he was extremely attached to Rama. Rama, as the eldest son, was devoted to his father and at every available opportunity did his best to please his father. Many happy years went by in the palace and in Ayodhya. One day, sage Vishwamitra arrived at the palace on an urgent mission. King Dasharatha welcomed the sage with great joy and reverence and offered to help him in any way needed. Vishwamitra, pleased with the king's words, revealed the purpose of his visit. He told King Dasharatha about a yajna he had started at his ashrama, but was unable to complete due to the interference of some Rakshasas. Since he could not curse the Rakshasa while the yajna was in progress, he requested Dasharatha to send Rama with him to protect the yajna. Dasharatha, shocked to hear Vishwamitra's request, fainted at the thought of being away from Rama. When he awoke, he began proposing alternatives to Vishwamitra, which would achieve the same purpose. Vishwamitra, knowing that only Rama could solve the problems caused by the Rakshasas, insisted on Rama accompanying him. As the king continued to propose alternatives, Vishwamitra began expressing displeasure at Dasharatha's attempts to go back on his promise. Finally, on the advice of Vasishta, Dasharatha's guru, he reluctantly agreed to let Rama go, but decided that Lakshmana would go with him. After receiving the blessings of their elders and parents, the two princes left the palace with sage Vishwamitra. When they reached the banks of the river Sarayu, Vishwamitra taught them secret mantras. They spent the night in Kamashrama, a hermitage located at the confluence of the river Sarayu and Ganga. The next morning, after crossing the river Ganga, they reached a dense forest. Rama was struck by its beauty and its eerie silence. Vishwamitra explained to the princes that a horrible Rakshasi named Tataka lived in the forest. The sage asked Rama to kill her at first sight without any hesitation to restore peace and order in the forest. As Vishwamitra was talking, Rama strung his bow and twanged it. The thunderous sound from his bow reverberated throughout the entire forest. Surprised at this sound, Tataka rushed towards it. A furious battle ensued between Rama and Tataka. Finally, Rama sent a deadly arrow and killed her. Vishwamitra was pleased with Rama, and to show his gratefulness, he imparted his knowledge of all his divine astras or missiles. Finally, they reached Vishwamitra's ashrama. Once they got there, Vishwamitra told Rama and Lakshmana about the sacrifice and the demons he had to stop. He told them the yajna would continue for 6 days and nights, and he would be observing silence for its duration. He asked them to keep a 24-hour vigil. On the 6th and last day, 2 Rakshasas, Maricha and Subahu, appeared to defile and destruct the place and stop the yajna. Angry at their behavior, Rama sent Manavastra, or a certain astra or missile, at Maricha, which carried him far away and threw him into the ocean. With the help of Agneastra, another missile, Rama killed Subahu on the spot. Vishwamitra was able to complete his yajna without any further obstacle. Pleased with their service towards him, Vishwamitra told Rama and Lakshmana that he would take them to Mithila, where King Janaka was performing another yajna. Vishwamitra wanted Rama to have a look at the great bow of Lord Shiva in Janaka's assembly, which no one was able to even lift. Vishwamitra and the princes travelled until they reached Mithila. Sage Vishwamitra and the princes were received with all honours by King Janaka. The next day, King Janaka took them to the Yajnashala, the day of the completion of a sacrifice he was performing. Vishwamitra told King Janaka about the achievements of the young princes and expressed his desire that they should see the great bow. King Janaka was happy and informed them that he would give his daughter, Sita, in marriage to the one who could break the bow of Lord Shiva. Urged by Vishwamitra, Rama went to see the bow, and in the presence of the court and of Sita, lifted it effortlessly from the case, strung it by bending it, and pulled the string back. Suddenly, with a loud noise, the bow snapped into two, gladdening the heart of Janaka and everyone in the assembly. King Janaka sent invitations to Ayodhya through special messengers. Dasharatha arrived at Mithila in the presence of many great sages and witnessed by Agni, the lord of fire. Rama married Sita. Lakshmana married Urmila, the sister of Sita. Bharata and Shatrughna married Mandavi and Shrutakirti, respectively, daughters of Kushadhwaja, brother of King Janaka. The newly married couples began their journey back to Ayodhya. On the way, they were stopped by an angry sage, Parashurama. He demanded to see the man who had broken the great bow of Shiva. Dasharatha begged Parashurama for Rama to be spared. But Parashurama did not relent. Rama emerged, and Parashurama handed the great bow of Vishnu to him and urged Rama to string it. Rama once again effortlessly strung it, to the awe of everyone present. Having shattered Parashurama's arrogance, the newly married couples returned to Ayodhya along with Dasharatha and others. The citizens of Ayodhya received them with great rejoice. Rama and Sita and his brothers with their wives lived happily for a number of years. Rama served his father and the citizens of Ayodhya, and all were pleased. Jai Shri Ram.